Please be seated. In August of 2024, during discussions about the importance of national security and collaboration with our international partners, His Excellency Dr. Ali said, and I quote, "Security for a nation is one of the most critical issues that must be addressed." End of quote. As we launch the National Defense Institute today, these words from His Excellency the President remind us that our vision, our strategy, and our actions shape our future. This institute embodies our collective commitment to securing a brighter and more secure future for our nation. His Excellency, the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali. Prime Minister, Honorable Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, other esteemed cabinet members, honorable members of the diplomatic community, Chief of Defense Staff, National Security Advisor, other heads of services and agencies, retired Chiefs of Defense Staff, Vice Chancellor and other senior representatives of the University of Guyana, the Director, Assistant Director, and other members of the National Defense Institute's Advisory Board, members of the Private Sector Commission, other senior members of the Joint Services who are both serving and retired, other persons who are tuning in overseas from affiliate organizations like the William J. Perry Center for Hemispheric Studies and State University, New York, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. I am Colonel Sheldon Howell, the Director of the National Intelligence and Security Agency, the Chairman of the Institute's Advisory Board, and today I am incredibly humbled to be the Chairman of the proceedings for this historic launching of the National Defense Institute right here in President Lula's room at the Artichon Convention Center. It is my great honor to welcome you to this crucial development in our nation's security framework. It was announced by our visionary leader, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, just over a year ago. Since then, an advisory board has been appointed, along with a director and an assistant director. Further, with the diligent work of the board, with assistance from the University of Guyana, a number of courses were formulated, MOUs with other universities and academic agencies were signed, among other critical requirements to get the institute operational. Ladies and gentlemen, today you will hear the story from some of the most eloquent speakers in our nation, not me. My intelligence collection data tells me that together they have over 6 decades in academia and can match up well with the best the region has to offer. They're going to provide an overview of the Institute, outline the strategic guidance, and provide information on some of the immediate courses the Institute will be offering. By way of opening remarks, I must tell you that the establishment of this institute within the Guyana Defense Force reflects the government's commitment to ensuring that our joint services officers and their civilian counterparts are equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge to effectively address the multifaceted security challenges of this contemporary environment. Further, in a rapidly evolving environment marked by both traditional and emerging threats, including territorial claims, illegal migration, and transnational organized crime, the need for a well-trained cadre of security professionals has never been more urgent. At the same time, Guyana is experiencing unprecedented opportunities for growth with the diversification of our economy, the expansion of our natural resources sector, and increased engagement on the regional and international stages. The National Defense Institute will serve as a critical platform for developing the strategies and policies that will safeguard our nation's interests. The leaders trained here will be instrumental in creating sustainable security programs, not only to protect our sovereignty, but also to contribute to the broader goals of national development. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, through this initiative, Guyana is poised to emerge as a more significant and more dynamic strategic influencer, both regionally and global affairs. With those opening remarks, my next task is to introduce our first speaker. He holds a PhD in political science with a specialization in international relations from York University, Toronto, Canada. He's currently an advisor in the Office of the President and a Professor Emeritus of International Relations at the School of International Service, American University, Washington, D.C., and the first director of the National Defense Institute. He's also a widely published scholar on international relations and has delivered numerous lectures worldwide, including at UCLA, Johns Hopkins, London School of Economics, and Korea University. Please put your hands together and join me in welcoming Dr. Randolph Prasad to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your Excellency, President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, Prime Minister Mark Phillips, Chief of Defense Staff Brigadier Umar Khan, members of the Diplomatic Corps, National Security Advisor Captain Jared Vire, members of the Cabinet, members of the Advisory Board, members of the Discipline Services, heads of agencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning, and thank you for being here with us to launch the National Defense Institute. We are deeply honored by your presence here today, and as we embark on this most salient of national undertaking, we hope that you will stay by our side always. More than 2,000 years ago, the Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu cautioned that without sound strategy, decline is imminent. Thucydides drew on war for dominance between Athens and Sparta and told us that it is vital that we put emotions aside and do what you must for national security. And then great thinkers like Karl von Clausewitz, E.H. Carr, Hans Morgenthau, Kenneth Waltz, Bhagat Khurana, Muhammad Ayub, Amitav Acharya, and our very own Ivelaw Griffith, among others, have all underlined the structural relationship between sound knowledge and sound strategy. We live in an unstable world and a region dogged by multiple sources of insecurity. We are indeed at a crucial crossroad in our historical development. History has shown, ladies and gentlemen, that as nations rise economically, they must assume greater responsibility for their own welfare. In no other area of government is this, or should this be more pronounced, than in the security sector. We are fortunate to have a leader with the vision and perspicacity of President Mohammed Irfan Ali, who just about a year ago charged our team to bring this National Defense Institute into reality. And so, Mr. President, we stand here today ready to roll. The NDI will draw on the best academic and policy literatures in strategic and intelligence studies, foreign policy analysis, comparative politics, strategic communication, defense economics, political sociology, and history, among other disciplines, to produce, impart, and share knowledge that is both policy relevant and usable. The National Defense Institute will be a reliable source of expert knowledge and will be at the disposal of the leadership of Guyana and the Caribbean region. We will undertake research in a broad spectrum of issue areas, consult with government agencies, both within and outside of the security sector, and engage the public in responsible ways in order to build strong people-to-government understanding of national security. As we deepen and broaden our research and teaching commitments, we will build out a comprehensive knowledge infrastructure with experts in the Americas and beyond. We will collaborate with other institutions of higher education, including the University of Guyana and the Center for Hemispheric Defensive Studies in Washington, D.C. We have agreements with both of them. I would like to acknowledge at this time the significant contribution of the University of Guyana, and especially Vice Chancellor Dr. Paloma Mohammed and Director Debbie Hopkinson. The NDI has 4 research and teaching areas: foreign policy and diplomacy, strategic studies, human security and development, which I must tell you the President insisted that must be a core part of what we do, and also civilian-military relations. We will soon commence our first class with the Certificate in Defense Studies. On the horizon, we're planning a full undergraduate program as well as a master's degree in defense studies. Among the subject areas we will research and teach, and folks, I do have to tell you, it might sound like a long list, but generally speaking, within the degree, even within the certificate program, we'll be able to cover a substantial amount of topics and issue areas I'm about to detail. Balance of power theory, conventional and nuclear deterrence, crisis decision-making, great power rivalry, grand strategy, global hydrocarbon and climate change politics, strategic and cross-cultural communication, civilian-military relations, cybersecurity, human security, security and development, small state strategies, alliances, open source intelligence, multilateral security with an emphasis on the Security Council, peacekeeping, migration and security, insurgencies, multinational command and control, infrastructure protection, foreign policy of great powers, defense geography, CARICOM and regional security organizations. In addition to the courses based on academic and policy literature, ladies and gentlemen, we will also engage in training exercises. For instance, we will soon do a tabletop exercise on emergency rescue and evacuation operations. This course will be led by Colonel Sheldon Howell and Captain Jerry Govaya. Colonel Howell is director of the National Intelligence and Security Agency with 25 years in military defined especially by special operations and training. Captain Jerry Govaya is the National Security Advisor, a veteran pilot with over 20,000 flying hours. He has led numerous search and rescue and medical evacuation operations over a career spanning 4 decades. The President also specifically directed the NDI to deliver training in the area of cybersecurity for CEOs. That will happen soon, I'm happy to report, Mr. President. I am delighted now to introduce Assistant Director Dr. Sion Levios, who will inform you about the cybersecurity engagement and some other matters. Dr. Levios is Associate Professor at the State University of New York. an ICT consultant to the Guyana Defense Force, and a specialist in technology and business. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I hand you now over to Dr. Levios. Thank you very much indeed.
President of the Republic of Guyana, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali, Prime Minister, Honorable Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, Chief of Defense Staff, Brigadier Omar Khan, Chairman of the NDI Advisory Board, Director of the NDI, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues and partners. It's an honor for me to stand before you today as we embark on this critical journey to strengthen our nation's defense and security infrastructure. Today, we are not just launching an institute, we are laying the foundation for a more secure and resilient Guyana. In today's interconnected world, cybersecurity has emerged as one of the most pressing challenges for nations across the globe. As we continue to integrate digital technologies into every facet of our lives, the threats we face have evolved in complexity and scale. Cyber attacks are no longer just the work of isolated hackers. They are sophisticated operations carried out by organized crime groups, state-sponsored actors, and even terrorist organizations. These threats do not discriminate. They target governments, businesses, and individuals alike, aiming to disrupt, steal, and cause harm. And so in this context, the role of cybersecurity in national defense and security cannot be overstated. As Guyana continues to grow and develop, we must recognize that our national security is intrinsically linked to our ability to protect our digital infrastructure. And this is not just a technical issue, it is a strategic imperative. And so CEOs and leaders in both the public and private sectors have a pivotal role to play in safeguarding our nation against cyber threats. It is no longer sufficient for cybersecurity to be the sole responsibility of IT departments. Leaders must be actively engaged, informed, and proactive in their approach to cybersecurity. Why? Well, because decisions made at the executive level can have a significant impact on the security posture of entire organizations, by extension our nation. This is why the National Defense Institute is prioritizing the training and development of CEOs and leaders in cybersecurity. Our goal is to equip and train our leaders with the knowledge and skills to navigate the complex and ever-changing landscape of cybersecurity. We will accomplish this through targeted workshops, strategic training sessions, and collaborative learning opportunities. We will empower our leaders to make informed decisions that enhance our collective security. But cybersecurity is not just about technology, it is about people, processes, and culture. And so, a holistic approach to cybersecurity really involves understanding the human element, how employees, executives, and even customers interact with digital systems. It also requires robust processes that ensure that security is integrated into every aspect of an organization's operations. But most importantly, it demands a culture of vigilance, one where cybersecurity is seen as everyone's responsibility. And so as we train our CEOs and leaders, we will emphasize the importance of this holistic approach. We will encourage them to foster this culture of security within their organizations, where every individual understands the role they play in protecting our national interests. The National Defense Institute will serve as a think tank, a training ground, a center for excellence in cybersecurity and national defense. We have been fortunate to receive the support of our President, who shares our vision for a secure and resilient nation. With resources allocated, we will bring in world-class faculty, guest speakers, and experts to provide the highest quality of training and support. As you know and you've heard from Dr. Prasad in his overview, our work will not be limited to cybersecurity. We will address a broad spectrum of issues related to national defense and security. However, given the urgency of this cyber threat landscape, we will make cybersecurity a cornerstone of our efforts. And finally, I want to emphasize the importance of collaboration. The challenges we face in cybersecurity are too great for one organization or even sector to tackle alone. And so, the National Defense Institute will work closely with the private sector, government agencies, and international partners to build a united front against cyber threats. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we launch the National Defense Institute today, we do so with a clear mission: to protect and defend the people, the institutions, and the future of Guyana. I am confident that with the collective efforts of everyone present here today, we can build a safer, more secure, more resilient Guyana. So I say to us, let us together rise to the challenges of this digital age and ensure that our nation remains strong and secure for generations to come. I thank you.
Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard from the two scholars who will be steering the Institute. Dr. Prasad expressed the need for a strategy for small states in an increasingly turbulent region and addressed the main issue areas the Institute will be focusing on, as well as outlining the courses the Institute will offer. Dr. Livius, in his usual dynamic way, outlined the importance of cybersecurity as an essential part of our security infrastructure and previewed the cybersecurity training for CEOs and leaders in the public sector. So I urge that you subscribe, and further information about the course will be disseminated to you. Our next speaker is a distinguished military leader who has dedicated over 3 decades of his life to the service of our nation. This officer has risen through the ranks with a reputation of excellence, discipline, and strategic acumen. Throughout his illustrious career, he has held numerous appointments that have shaped the strategic direction of the Guyana Defense Force. The officer is a former valedictorian of the University of Guyana. He holds a master's degree in international management from the University of Liverpool, and he's the officer who presides over the affairs of the National Defense Institute. And I will add just one more thing. General Richardson, the outgoing U.S. Southern Command Commander, and I quote, he said he's the man with $1 million smile. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 12th, he is the 1st Chief of Defense Staff of the Guyana Defense Force, and the 12th leader of the Guyana Defense Force. Please join me, Brigadier Omar Khan.
Thank you, Colonel Howell. Kind words. I wish I could be paid for my smile. I'm contented. His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and Commander-in-Chief of our Armed Forces, Honorable Prime Minister, members of the Defense Board, other ministers, National Security Advisor, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Vice Chancellor of the University of Guyana, heads of services, directors of agencies, senior officers of the joint services, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, it's a pleasant morning. I'm honored to be here with all of you and to share this moment as we inaugurate our National Defense Institute. For a young, developing nation, this moment presents a crucial milestone in our national development and security architecture. Commander-in-Chief, it was exactly 1 year ago, on the 1st of September 2023, you issued a directive to the then Chief of Staff to establish a National Defense Institute on a recommendation that was submitted. At the time, you were delivering a feature address to young officers who had just received their instruments of commission. It was a timely announcement. It was timely, but yet a tough call on the timeline. But today, I'm happy we are witnessing the resultant work. And if you bear with me, I have to mention several persons involved in making this a reality. You heard from 3 of them. Dr. Randolph Basad, the Director of the National Defense Institute, Colonel Sheldon Howell, Director of the National Intelligence and Security Agency and Chairman of the Advisory Board, and Assistant Director, Dr. Sion. Dr. Sion Livius. Dr. Basad, we are thankful for the insight you continue to share from your real-life experiences, both as a professor and as a consultant, advising on decision-making in real situations. Your input into the scope of work ahead in expanding the curriculum in small steps continues to be vital for the institute's evolution and the intended impact it is meant to have on national development. Colonel Howell, you have been the constant in all this working, refining and providing much guidance in shaping the overall outlook. You have been a true patriot. You are invaluable to the team. Equal contributions were made by other members, including, as I mentioned, Dr. Livius, a versatile young man and former lieutenant of the Guyana Defense Force. We are better with you on the team. Ambassador Elizabeth Harper, she's here right now, another member of the team, and a career diplomat in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Ms. Debbie Hopkinson, another valuable player on the board. She's a director of the Institute of Human Resilience, Strategic Security and the Future at the University of Guyana. Lieutenant Colonels Ian Murray and Andy Pompey and Assistant Commissioner Simon McBee. You've all brought key expertise that complement what we intend to do, as articulated by the previous speakers. The Vice Chancellor, Dr. Paloma Mohammed Martin, your support throughout this journey has been nothing short of exemplary. Utilizing the university resources was necessary, and we certainly look forward to your continued support. Some of you would know Dr. Mohammed Martin participated and facilitated our first master's program in strategic development studies on to its 3rd cohort, I believe. This is another visionary highlight by our Commander-in-Chief. I wish to single out the engagements we would have had with the William J. Perry Center for Defense Hemispheric Studies in the initial stages of our path to here. I'm sure there are others who played an integral part in this journey. Because of you, Guyana is further and now better placed, better positioned, and better prepared for the future. Thank you all for the tremendous work you did to get us here. So we are here. Now, what's next? Perhaps it is not much what's next, but really who benefits. To answer this, I wish to, as I did on so many occasions before, I reference the Command-in-Chief vision articulated in a December 2020 speech to the Guyanese diaspora, and which I believe remains relevant. He mentioned, and I quote, "We are fashioning an inclusive democracy dedicated upon respect for our Constitution and the rule of law, and the will of the people, one in which our sovereignty and territorial integrity are sacrosanct. This is the Guyana that will possess a modern, robust, diversified, and resilient economy, capable of delivering economic prosperity, which can be translated into higher levels of employment and improvement in the quality of life of our people." End of quote. I will single out achieving the improvements in the quality of life of our people as key here, as it remains fundamental to everything we do across the spectrum of national and public service. The combination and interaction of these activities forms what I term the ecosystem of national development, which is geared to, in this context, and as a necessary endeavor, improve the quality of life of our people. Briefly put, it is within this construct that Defense Institute plays a pivotal role within this dynamic interplay between security and development. Such an institute nurtures the intellectual and operational capabilities of all our national resources, serving as a beacon for strategic thought and action to support national development. The Defense Institute, therefore, is an integral component of the ecosystem of national development. The establishment of one, as we are doing today, is a significant step in building out our ecosystem for national development. Thank you, Commander-in-Chief, for your foresight and for affording us the opportunity to bring this establishment of a Defense Institute to a reality. My best wishes to the team, the director, the board, the support staff, and all those who are playing a critical role on this new and exciting national endeavor. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Brigadier Khan. In your remarks, you provided a profound outlook on the Institute as a superior officer responsible for its affairs. Your words of guidance will surely guide the faculty of the Institute and the advisory board in meeting His Excellency's vision. Thank you once more. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is a distinct honor and a pleasure to introduce to you our keynote speaker, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, the 9th Executive President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Dr. Ali's journey began in the humble village of Lenora on the west coast of Demerara, where he was born into a family of educators. From those early days at Lenore Primary School and the St. Stanislaus College to earning a doctorate in urban and regional planning from the University of the West Indies, Dr. Ali has consistently demonstrated a passion for education and public service. His Excellency has served our nation in various critical roles, including as the Minister of Housing and Water, where he led one of the most transformative housing initiatives in our country's history. Under his leadership, countless Guyanese have found a place to call home, a testament to his commitment to improving the lives of all citizens. But beyond his impressive credentials and numerous degrees, Dr. Ali is a leader who understands the importance of connection and community. He brings both the intellectual rigor and a deep sense of empathy to his work, qualities that have guided him throughout his presidency. As we come together today to launch the National Defense Institute, it is quite fitting that we are led by someone who has dedicated his life to the progress and security of our nation. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please have your seat. Our dear Prime Minister, members of Cabinet, members of the Joint Service, Brigadier Omar Khan, members of the diplomatic community, members of faculty, our National Security Advisor, retired Justice Ramson, members of the media, members of the private sector, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be associated with this enormous success story this morning. But I will fail in my duty if I do not acknowledge not only Brigadier Omar Khan and his team, members of the Joint Services, the faculty, the University of Guyana, Professor Paloma, the RSS, and all the other strategic thinkers. But importantly, I want to express our gratitude to the Perry Center and the National Defense University. The National Defense University in Washington and the Perry Center will be the National Defense Institute strategic partner and will be our strategic academic structure. Now, the National Defense Institute would also be critically linked to the RSS and will not only be an academic research institution, but will be a real-life institution producing action plans and producing analysis of threats and challenges facing the region. The National Defense Institute is a regional institute, and within a short time period, we want this to be the premier intelligence, defense, security agency in the region. We want this institute to be the institute that will be training all our strategic thinkers in defense and security. This institute will be the sister institute of the National Defense University in Perry Center that will help them to train persons within CARICOM, South America, Central America. So the dynamism of this institute will be interesting and will be evolving. It's important also for us to understand that institute defense is everyone's responsibility. Security is everyone's responsibility. And that is why there will be some strategic courses and strategic certificates that are designed to help CEOs, to help the private sector, to help all those who are involved in management and decision making to guard against various threats that we will confront. There is also, on the immediate agenda, a specific program for diplomats serving Guyana. That program is to help all of us together to understand the regional threats and regional challenges, and for us to have discussions and generation of ideas. So we are already working with our sister agencies to develop that program so that we can, the diplomats serving in Guyana and then in the region, can go through with us the very historical transition in political, ideological, military, defense thinking, so that being part of the region, you'll be having this opportunity to understanding the generational changes in the thinking within the region. I think this is important, and this will help all of us to strengthen our knowledge of the region. So the launch of the National Defense Institute is part of a larger effort aimed at protecting Guyana's national interests and safeguarding the region against every threat, particularly the safeguarding of our sovereignty and territorial integrity. From the moment we gained independence, we are subject to threats to our territorial integrity. These challenges have demanded a continuous focus on the defense of our nation. Defense is no longer an option. It is an essential requirement for all those who will play a role in shaping our national defense and security architecture. It is essential that we equip our leaders with the knowledge and skills necessary to address threats and challenges to national defense. The threats are no longer confined to traditional threats. They now incorporate a range of threats capable of undermining our sovereignty and national security. The threats we face today are not limited to the conventional challenges of border disputes and territorial incursions. And as I sit with you today, you would know that the region is faced with a major threats of gangs, the movement of gangs, and I'll address that in a little. And because we have not, as a region, strategically and in an analytical way, study migration and the movement of people, and disaggregate who are moving and for what reason they are moving, we have not been able to strategically determine from the criminal network and the criminal enterprise what gang and which gangs are operating within our region and our country. For a matter of fact, those who are aware of the way gangs operate would know that simple things like tattoos and symbols can give an idea of the magnitude of gangs, the different gangs, and the complexity of those gangs that are operating in our society. And this is a threat for the region and a threat for us. If we do not, in an analytical way, get to the bottom of this, our small societies will be faced with immense danger. It's already faced with great danger, but immense danger that can destabilize our economy, destabilize our society, and create havoc. The nature of security threats has evolved dramatically, encompassing a range of non-traditional threats that require a broader understanding and a more versatile response. Natural disasters, for example, can cripple a nation's infrastructure and economy, posing a serious threat to national security. The impacts of climate change are becoming more pronounced, necessitating a comprehensive approach to disaster preparedness and response. Defense studies and defense strategies must, therefore, encompass environmental security. Our leaders must be prepared to respond to environmental disasters, since these pose a threat to national security. Cybercrime is another growing threat, capable of wreaking havoc within our communications and undermining our economic stability. We must ensure that such threats are understood, and we must build the capability to respond to cybersecurity threats, including the spread of misinformation using social media platforms. Now, in the body of cybersecurity threats is AI, and we are seeing even in sophisticated economies how AI is damaging information flow, how AI is used to undermine policies, how AI is used to influence people. And this is a major issue in small societies that can be influenced at a much more rapid pace. It is important that we understand the threats that AI pose and how we're going to respond to those threats. The illegal smuggling of drugs poses a deadly risk to national security. In this regard, I would like to take this opportunity to commend our security services, our joint services, CANU, our partners, the DA, for the recent bust in Region 1. Make no mistake, the bust is not the end of the matter. We have every intention, working with our partners, to destabilize and break the back of all criminal networks, especially in drug trafficking, operating within our territorial space and in our airspace. We have already asked, and we are ready to work with our partners once we are given the assets and once we can secure the assets to deal with all the overflights. All the overflights that are passing over our airspace. We are ready to work with you in dismantling the global empire that drug trade has created. But we need that support. We have to work together. You have a partner in us. You have a partner in us. And part of that partnership is for all of us, not only the US and Guyana and the region, but for every stakeholder, because we see today how the trade is changing because of prices and demand, and Europe is being severely impacted. So all of us have a joint responsibility. And as small as we are, with the limited resources that we have, you can be assured that we are taking our responsibility seriously, and any information set that is available to us, we will go after to the best of our ability every single operation that has to be dismantled. This operation, therefore, is a clear demonstration of our resolve to combat narco-trafficking and to protect our nation from being used as a transshipment point for the movement of illicit substances. To those who may harbor ambitions of using Guyana as a transnational point for the movement of illegal substances, let me be clear. We will come after you with the full force of the law. We will not allow our country to be used as a conduit for criminal activity, and we will pursue those who seek to do so. We have had tremendous successes in recent times in drug interceptions, and those involved deserve our commendations. We are committing to dismantling any cells which may exist locally and that lend support to transnational criminal cartels. This is our commitment to the global community and all our partners. Drug trafficking is one of the very threats to national security today, and it is the emergence of such very threats, including cybersecurity, drone technology, used during warfare, as seen, for example, in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, that requires a new and broader approach to defense studies. The world has become more integrated, and because of this, we are less insulated than before. Threats to regional and global security are having greater effects on aspects of national life. Therefore, our attempts at strengthening national defense has to be broadened to take account of development in the international community, including geopolitical considerations. Geopolitics is a critical area of study for any defense institution. Understanding the power dynamics between nations and the shifting trends in global relations is essential for crafting effective defense strategies. We must also consider the role of regionalism in our defense planning. As a small nation, Guyana cannot afford to act in isolation. We must work closely with our regional partners to build a collective security framework that can respond to the diverse threats we face. And that is why this institute is important, because an institute brings together the leaders in the security and defense ecosystem. It helps them to understand each other, build network, understand different culture, because we know we're operating in a region, and culture and the way in which culture influence behavior and the way in which culture influence thinking and strategic intervention is a key part of building that regional response mechanism. Technology is another area that cannot be overlooked. The rapid pace of technological advancement has transformed the nature of warfare and security. The use of drones in combat technologies introduce new challenges and opportunities in the field of defense. We must ensure that our military planners and leaders have a greater understanding as to the leveraging of technology to enhance national security. And here in Guyana, we are investing heavily in technology. We are very happy to have Dr. Vivias with us, who is leading our technology strategy in the military, but also having a group of young people who are working on our national security strategy in terms of technology. Now, small countries like ours must be able to consolidate our technology package within the region. It makes no sense for all of us to be operating on different platforms and different software and so on. We have to integrate the technology, we have to share the technology, and we have to be able to use technology that are relevant to this area in which we are operating, the Western Hemisphere. The Western Hemisphere, together as a body, has different challenges from the rest of the world. And the threats to the Western Hemisphere comes also from different areas and different players. And we have to understand who those players are, what are the technologies utilized by those players, and how our technological platform can position us to mitigate the threats that those players and their technology may have, and the impact it may have on us. The role of diplomacy cannot be overstated. Diplomatic engagement is a critical component of our national defense strategy. Through diplomacy, we have been able to forge alliances, foster regional cooperation, and promote stability. Guyana's position within the Caribbean community, the Commonwealth, and other international organizations provides us with a platform to advocate for collective security measures and to address shared challenges. Defense diplomacy requires hard and persistent diplomatic efforts. Our Foreign Service, too, requires our commendations and support for the continuous work in helping to promote defense cooperation and solidarity from the international community. We are already seeing great results from the work of the military diplomacy and our attaches that we're sending in key areas. And I want to commend former Chief of Staff Brigadier Best is here, who is heading our work there. We are already having results and building partnership and networking in a greater way. In this regard, we welcome the recent statement emanating from the Commonwealth Ministerial Group on Guyana. Given all of these development and threats, defense studies can no longer be confined to the narrow parameters of military tactics and strategies. It must be embraced, dealing with a wide range of issues, including geopolitics, regionalism, economics, technology, and even migration. Our defense leaders must be equipped with a deep understanding of the global landscape, the shifting alliances, and emerging challenges that can impact the national defense and national security. The National Defense Institute being launched today is not just another training institution. It is integral to our national defense strategy and our regional defense strategy. The Institute is a crucial part of building capacity and expertise within our national defense architecture. The Institute will be expected to provide training to a wide range of stakeholders, including the private sector and students. Defense is everybody's business, and therefore, this institute must be geared towards the training and utilizing the inputs of various stakeholders. The institute is designed to be a center of excellence, a place where the leaders of tomorrow's defense and security architecture will be shaped. As I've said before, our vision for this institute is not limited to the borders of Guyana. We aim for it to become the region's premier institution for defense studies, attracting talent and expertise from across the Caribbean and beyond. It is important also for me to highlight at this point that we are in the final stages of setting up our police academy that will serve the entire region. As I said, our prosperity must be prosperity of the region. And part of that is to ensure we provide the architecture and the institution to help to train our young people in the region. So very soon we will have the full accreditation of our police academy. I think we have already done that. We have already done that. We have the international accreditation, and this police academy will be open to the entire region and will also have international faculty supporting its work. The curriculum of the Institute will reflect the diverse and evolving nature of security threat. It will offer programs that are multidisciplinary in nature, incorporating studies, as I said, in all spheres of national development. Now, I want to also, at this point, extend my deepest gratitude to Brigadier Khan for his unstinting efforts in pushing this initiative forward. His dedication, vision, and leadership have been instrumental in bringing the National Defense Institute to fruition. Brigadier Khan, your work has laid the foundation for a stronger, more secure Guyana, and for that we are all indebted to you. To Colonel Sheldon Howard, this young man continues to impress us with his ability, his dedication, and his commitment to getting the job done. So too are all the senior officers in the Guyana Defense Force, Guyana Police Force. We're now working on strengthening the Guyana Fire Service and the Guyana Prison Service so that we can build the capacity and capability. Recently, with the UKEF support, we now have about 60 new, the most modern firefighting vehicles. The most modern firefighting vehicles. And what we have done is that we have brought these vehicles into place in every NDC. And the Guyana Defense Force, the Guyana Police Force, the Guyana Prison Service, and the Guyana Fire Service are working on training the part-time workers and volunteer firefighting groups and the use of these vehicles. So within every NDC, we'll have these vehicles, and they're specifically built to navigate the streets and so on within the NDC. So that is another great achievement for us, and we are very pleased that we have been able to make this investment. Now, I want to also say that some of the output of this institute will be the partnership. You will see more in coming days, more of the announcement, the joint announcement, especially between the Perry Center and the National Defense Institute. the University of Guyana. The Institute will have a regional and international focus because part of what we'll be doing is to bring together, to analyze continuously what is happening internationally in the region, so it will have a very strong regional and international focus. The Institute will have continuous analysis. So we will be doing analysis of different threats. For example, they will be analyzing do a SWOT on the response to Hurricane Beryl and some of the weaknesses, and they'll be sharing this with regional leaders. They'll be sharing this with CARICOM. So every CARICOM has a government meeting, will see a report from the Institute on how they analyze things. Now, the leaders may use it as they wish, but this is something, some of the intellectual work that the Institute will be doing to help regional thinking. So there will be continuous analysis. The Institute will be producing quarterly regional reviews. Quarterly regional reviews. The Institute will be producing those. They'll be doing tactical analysis. Because of the nature of the Institute and our partners, the experience they have, they'll be doing tactical analysis on immediate threats. For example, in Trinidad and Tobago, there was a great convention on crime, dealing with crime in the region. There's a follow-up meeting in Barbados, but there are some tactical things that needs to be addressed, and the Institute and the experience of the Institute will be doing that analysis and sharing. Risk profiling, and this is something the Institute will be analyzing. Different policies, different programs, different statements from within the region, elections and dictatorship and not respecting the rule of law and so from the elections, process of verification, all of those risk profiles will be analyzed by the Institute. Trade barriers and all of these things. So different risk profiles will be analyzed by the Institute and shared. There will be an annual journal. Now I'm very happy to say that the Institute have already reached out to many big names to be part of what we are doing. So for example, on the faculty, you will have former presidents, you'll have former generals, former chiefs, former secretary of state, former secretaries, former members of academia, and members of the academia, diplomats. All of these persons will be part of the resource that the Institute will be tapping into. The Institute is also finalizing arrangement to have all of its certificate credited. So if you do a 6-week program, you'll have credits that can be transferred to a postgraduate program or an undergraduate program. So those are some of the things that they're doing. Now, I've challenged the Institute to do a comprehensive analysis on the gangs in the region. And some of the things that the Institute must be able to do and produce that will impact current work is dealing with the movement, gangs movement, the migration pattern, the movement pattern, what attracts them, how are they moving, motivation, what is motivating them, and sometimes you might see the gangs might believe that there is a weak institutional framework or a weak system that you can infiltrate easier in one jurisdiction than the other, or that it's easier to get supply of weapons coming in. So we'll know what is influencing or motivating the gangs to operate in particular areas. So the movement, the motivation, the material, because gangs don't just move, they have to have material that aid their operation. So we have to have an analysis of that and management. Who is managing the gang? How are they getting cover? And the link and life cycle of the gangs. So those are immediate work that the Institute will be producing. And we're hoping that they can finish this work before the security follow-up meeting in Barbados, so that this can be, the Institute can show its worth and its depth very early. And once the institute is able to do this, it will position itself. And they have, of course, they'll be working with the RSS impacts and all the other regional bodies. This is an institute that will bring together all of these regional institutions from a different perspective. So today, I think is a very good day for Guyana. It's a good day for our international partners and for all those who are in the security and defense sphere to know that we can work as a country, as small as we are, on developing a national defense institute that will be world-class, that will attract world-class personnel from not only academia, but practitioners, and one that will be relevant in producing documents and strategies that deal with the threats and deal with the challenges that we in this region face. So I congratulate once again all those who are involved and look forward for the success of the National Defense Institute. And our support for this institute will be unwavering. Thank you.
It is a good day indeed. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, as we bring this momentous event to a close, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to all who've contributed to the successful launch of the National Defense Institute. First and foremost, I'd like to thank His Excellency, Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, for delivering an inspiring keynote address. Sir, your strategic guidance has set a clear path for us as we embark on this important journey with the National Defense Institute. Mr. President, rest assured that we are up to your challenge. We will forge ahead with our international cooperation, including our defense diplomacy, ensuring that the Institute produces action plans, analysis, and policies, including things like our quarterly regional reviews, tactical analysis and immediate threats, risk profiling, and gang profiling, all with the aim of protecting Guyana's interests and mitigating our regional threats. I would like also to express my sincere appreciation to Professor Paloma Mohammed, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Guyana, and her dedicated team for their unwavering support you continue to provide in making this institute a reality. To the advisory board members, thank you for your hard work and invaluable insights. Your decision-making have laid a strong foundation for the Institute's future success. A special thanks to Drs. Prasad and Livius, who have indeed carried the weight in making the Institute operational. Sirs, your efforts have not gone unnoticed, and you're deeply appreciated. I'd like to also acknowledge the Perry Center of Hemispheric Defense Studies, the State University of New York, and again the University of Guyana for partnering with us as affiliate organizations. Your collaboration enriches the Institute and strengthens our mission. To the administrative staff, thank you for your dedication and meticulous planning, which ensured today's event ran smoothly. Your behind-the-scenes work is what made this launch possible. And finally, to all our distinguished invitees, thank you for taking time to join us celebrate this significant milestone. Your presence here today is a testament to the importance of the National Defense Institute and its role in shaping our future. Thank you all once again, and I look forward to the progress we will achieve together. Now I invite you to stand with me as we recite our national pledge. I pledge myself. Thank you very much once again, and I would invite you to continue our social interactions in the lobby where there is light refreshments and an opportunity to have a photo with His Excellency. Thank you very much.